What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another live stream of channel CodeX. Today we're going to talk about design patterns, and not the coding design pattern, but the design structure we use in our mobile application. So let me see how many people have joined right now, and I hope this is a good time to have a live stream, because 5 o'clock I was about to start, and I noticed that there's not so many of you were present, and that's like just analytics told me that 7 p.m. would be a great time. So I thought, okay, why not to reschedule it so that more people can see the live stream. And Pravesh Vishwakarma in the house, thank you so much for joining. I'm doing good. And how are you doing? Let me know also in the comment section whether the audio is good, video is good, so that we can start early. We don't have to waste any time. It's 7 p.m. in the Dubai, and I guess in India 8:30, Pakistan 8 o'clock. And let me also know from where you have joined so that I can give a shout out to you guys. Dev Jishan, walaikum assalam. How are you doing today? Yep, I'm doing perfectly fine. So I just featured your comment. This is something new I'm trying with my stream, that I should be able to feature the comments which I like just show it on a screen somewhere. It gives, a little bit more motivation. So hopefully that's working totally fine. It's 4 p.m. in Nigeria. So we have people from Nigeria watching. That's cool. Crazy Career Comics. So I guess you have a comic channel or something. I wish I could play now some comics. Anyways, never mind. Sai Lucky, hi sir, this is Sai. I have started Flutter recently. Any suggestions? You should be focusing on learning the state management. Now, a lot of people, they ask about which state management I should start. So I generally recommend them starting with a block, because that's like a more native way. You don't even need any package to start that. You can do all with the streams, and if you want some Qubit or some other packages, you can start with that, and then provider, and then CodeX. As you grow, as you understand the framework, you can choose what suits you well, like what works for you and what is easy for you. So go ahead, learn about the stream, learn about the block pattern, and then you can choose whatever fits you. Okay. That's perfect. So Dev Jishan saying looks awesome, comment representation. Yeah, this is something I borrowed from StreamYard, because when I do live stream on StreamYard, they have this cool feature where you can showcase one of your audience comment, and it gives a little bit of extra extra value to them, that their comment is being featured on the channel. So a lot of people, they do comment looking at that. So that's I really liked it, and I implemented my own, so that I don't have to use a StreamYard paid version, and I can do simply with a Google YouTube API and things like that. Anyways, off the topic we are going. Today we're gonna talk about the design of mobile application. Some of the myths I'm going to bust, how people are designing nowadays, and how it was done previously. So we will be discussing all of those things, and in between I will take comment as well. So if you have any question, if you have related question, if you want to ask anything in general about Flutter or channel CodeX, you are welcome to do so. And we'll keep this live stream open for chit chat. Sai Lucky, thank you for valuable suggestion. I really appreciate you asked that question, because it's gonna help a lot of other viewers as well. So that is what I keep live stream once in a while, because when someone asks a question, there are a lot of viewers who have the same question, but they're afraid to ask, or they don't know how to ask. So it clears a doubt for so many others. All right. I like your t-shirt. Is it possible to buy? So Ashok Kumar, of course it is possible. Depend where you live. In India, shipment is very easy. So you can just go to my Ko-fi channel. You will find link in the description, or you can scan maybe this QR code over here. If you just scan this QR code, you will go to the Ko-fi page, and there you will find the t-shirt and other things I provide as a paid service. So you can buy from there if you are interested. And of course, you should be able to find link in the description as well. Perfect. Flutter Flow. No. Today we are not going to talk about Flutter Flow. Is Flutter Flow useful? Of course, it's useful if you want to design something really quick. That's very handy tool. But today we'll talk more about actual designing concept, like how you should go for a design if you're designing yourself, or if you have like a team of designer who is giving you the mobile application layout, how you should approach in the development. Because the designer, they cannot design for every single form factor, every single device size. So how you should convert that design to code, that is what this stream is all about. uh, Dolby Sound Official is asking, before starting the topic, please tell why the new server pod episode is not coming. That's a really good question, because server pod release is little bit postponed. So that's why I'm waiting for the right time when they release the server pod. So I think I have 4 videos on server pod, starting from the introduction to CRUD operation, then maybe deployment on AWS, and then soon I'm going to create a video on deployment on your own Linux server. So everything you develop inside serverpod, you can deploy on the Linux server. You don't need any paid, like any other service for that. So soon that video is going to come up, but I'm waiting for serverpod release dates accordingly, and maybe I can create a video on sign-in feature, how you can implement Google sign-in or other social media sign-in with serverpod. So stay tuned. Hopefully it will come soon. Okay, got clarity about QR. Maybe the QR is not visible. Is it the case? It should be. If you're watching in 1080p, it should be visible, but you can check the description section where I have the Ko-fi link. So if you go to my Ko-fi page, you should be able to find all the products I offer. Okay, let's start the live stream, because it's almost like 5 minutes or 6 minutes we have started, and we have done enough of chit chat, enough of discussion. People are joining. Dev Zishan is actively commenting. Sai Lucky in the house. Meet Plays in the house. Ankit Mishra, I'm doing good. Ankit Mishra is asking Flutter or React. So see, if you ask me, of course Flutter, because I don't know React. But if someone is good at React, why not to do that as well? Like there's nothing up or downside of it. But what I see personally as a mobile application developer working on native side, and I have tried Xamarin Tool, I have tried native Android, iOS, and all those platforms, I feel Flutter is better than React, because in React there's all bridging, like they bind your HTML components to actual widget, actual component of the platform, which is like a costly thing, and you lose some of the flexibility in that. And like apart from couple of famous application like Facebook, Insta, I haven't seen very huge like market of React, like because it's been for so long in the market. There should be like millions of application with React. But if you see Flutter, in less time, like 4 or 5 years, they have captured the whole market. Like everyone is trying to do project on Flutter, and you have a example like Google Pay in India that is done on Flutter, and so many application, like normal people trying out Flutter. You have many use case of that. Dev Zishan is asking, let me just feature your comment. He's asking, is there any Flutter related requirement in UAE? How to apply these? Please let us know. So of course there are openings in UAE for Flutter. In fact, our company has recently hired one candidate. The requirement is very simple. You should have at least 1 or 2 years of experience in Flutter. Like if you have 5 years of experience in mobile development, overall mobile development, that's well and good. And then you should apply on the sites like Naukri Gulf, Bath.com, and Indeed is one of the famous site over here. And then just try your references, that will help out. Okay, I'm actually, Sai Lucky has asked a question. Let me just feature that as well. Okay, before that, Hashik has asked this question. What about using aspect ratio to keep the UI responsive? So I'll come to that in a moment. 19 people are watching, so I should be starting really soon. Once I open up Adobe XD, I will show you the different scenarios, like when to use aspect ratio, when to use scale, when to use scroll view, and all those things we are going to discuss. That's the main topic of this live stream. So of course, we are going to start with that. And okay, I think I missed one comment from just a second. I'm just trying to see that my comment list over here is in sync with the comment on the YouTube. Dev Jishan, you can comment, you can ping me in person on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you like. Then we can take it forward from there. Okay, now it's time to start the stream with actual content. Stream has already started, but now I will start showing my screen and tell you about the different things that we need to discuss, that we need to understand as a mobile developer, and how to design things, how to, you know, more sort of like how to perceive thing, how to think about the design, what should be the right component decision, what should be the how you choose the component. That is the main question over here. Like I have seen people doing a blunder over there. When they decide, they just go for any component and they end up creating a design which is not responsive, which is going to be like scaled on all the devices, scaled down on the smaller devices. So all those things, let's try to bring in notice. Julia Park in the house, thank you so much for joining. I have seen a lot of your comments in my channel. I really appreciate that. You have asked few of the valid questions which I think I replied. If not, then sorry for that. But thank you so much for joining. So let me just share my screen just like this. Here we go. Is it sharing? Hopefully yes. Okay. There's I think 20 to 30-second delay what I am seeing right now on my screen and what is being displayed on YouTube. So just bear for that. Yeah, now it's perfectly fine. You can see my screen. And now what I'm talking about here, the first point, the first important point whenever you design mobile application, and it applies to even web as well, but we are talking more sort of like mobile application, because nowadays mobile form factor, you know, it comes in all sizes, in all shapes, you know, and even it runs on a web. Because you are working on a Flutter, you should be careful about the web as well. So we should design in a way that our application doesn't look ugly or doesn't seems unusable on other form factors or other sizes of the device. So let's say that I have this simple design where there's a search box, of course, there's a share icon. This is just like a random design I have done, so don't think it is like a super cool design. Of course it's not. And then there's a list view going on here, okay, and there's one item in the list. So this is like a standard Android or iOS screen size. But what happens if this design goes on a bigger screen, like it goes on an iPad or it goes on a 6 or 7-inch devices, which is very common nowadays. So I'm going to show you what people have done so far. Like that's a biggest mistake I consider. So what they do generally, they use some packages or they use some conversion tool based on the device height or based on the device width. They just scale the things. Like here, if this CodeX is written with 20 pixel, they will go for 25 pixel, 28 pixel on the bigger device. But that is not actually intended. That is the wrong way of doing the things. If you are doing this, or if you have been told to do this, it's just a wrong way of doing it. Now, why I'm harsh with that? Because you see what is happening over here. You have some description, like with this CodeX Flutter Mobile, there's some extra content. Let me just show you right now. Okay. Over here. So you see there's a word development. Because this screen size is smaller, the width is smaller, I'm not able to show development. So maybe I'll be showing Flutter Mobile and ... because there's extra content. But as a device owner, as a owner of a bigger device, I expect that I have invested more money, show me everything, every content possible. And on the bigger device, if you are still showing Flutter Mobile and ... means like you are ruining the user experience of that device, right? Instead of he should be getting the full content, you are showing just a scale version of your application. So what should happen if it goes to device like iPad? It should scale like this. So what is happening? You just putted your components without specifying size. Now, this is something about the free flow design. You just drag the components, you just pull the components in the layout, okay, and let it flow on its own. So you decide that there's a column and there's a two component, like there's a search box and there's a bottom. So this layout thing you have to decide, and then you just let it decide itself how it's going to be. So of course there comes a padding, spacing that we will talk in a moment, but this is the first point I want to demonstrate with the design, how it looks different on an iPad, how it looks. And now what if it goes even on a smaller device? Like let's say now we have discussed about the iPad device where we have like a bigger width, we are showing the full content. If it is if it goes on a smaller device like iPhone 7 or 6, then what you should be doing, you should be showing less content without compromising the actual design. And so still, if someone has a device like this on the left hand side, still the user will be fine with it. They don't want to see like everything because they know, they are aware of that my device is thin, like it's just a vertical device. So I should be seeing a less content, right? So user is fine with that. But what people, they do mistake, they try to do like this. Now, if I just match the height of the, the width of this device, something like this, okay. Now what happens, the text Flutter Mobile, it becomes unreadable. If you're scaling down based on the device size, width or height doesn't matter, because nowadays there are devices which are just like a square shape. So you cannot complain about the width or height. I'm not calculating based on the width, I'm calculating based on the height. So that excuse doesn't work because now devices are in a square shape as well. So the point here is, what I'm trying to say, that you should not be scaling the component, the size of the font, the size of the this icon over here, right? Because now you see what happens, the size of this icon got reduced. Now, instead of clicking on the share, you might be clicking on the search button, because your thumb, I have said this in one of the video, that your device size increases or decreases, but your thumb is the same size, right? So for this area to click on something, you need 50 pixel or 40 pixel minimum to click, but you don't need 100 pixel to click somewhere. So it doesn't really matter what device you are looking at, iPad, web or mobile, doesn't matter. You need 50 pixel by 50 pixel area to click on something. So this thing is never going to change. It has to be 50 pixel by 50 pixel everywhere. If you're writing a logic to calculate like, okay, it's a bigger one, right, 60 or 70 pixel, you're doing it wrong. So that's the first concept. And let me just show you some of the slides I have made, just to make it formal, to put the points in a nice way so that you can capture. Maybe you can just take a screenshot while I'm doing that slides, so you can understand it better way. Ideally showing, let me just take one comment as well. Julia Park has said, ideally showing one with Google Maps and CodeX would be cool. Yes, Julia, I remember you have commented about Google Maps and CodeX, and I think I have replied that Google Map works exactly the same way it would work on a provider or a blog or wherever. It's just like where you write all those controllers, all those variables. So in CodeX we have a controller class, and we do with the OBS binding. Okay, perfect. So now let me just switch to let me just open up the presentation I have for you guys. Here we go, present. And I think I should have shown this in beginning, but let's go ahead and just show it now. Okay, so design responsive, introduction about myself, which I should have shown in the beginning, but that's cool. And then today's topic, of course, responsive design for mobile application, and how to approach the design, and why we are talking about that today. Because of course, as I said, the device sizes, the device form factor, it's changing like never before. previously when mobile application started, when web platform started, there used to be some standard sizes and people used to design only for that. There's not like a cross platform tool which can, oops, my iPad got shut off, just a second. Okay, so there was not like so much of scope that you need to scale your design at that level and all those things. So but now, because of the changing mobile platform, we need to consider all of these points. Now as I was showing you the free flow design. So what I mean with free flow design, you just keep adding your component in a provided layout, of course. So if you choose to go with a column, you just keep putting your components one below the other, right? Let it decide its own size, that I need this much spacing from the sides, and let the control grow on its own. You don't define the size width of the control. So for that, you have to use a spacing, you have to use padding. That's how your design will freely flow. Now, if we just like switch to the design over here, okay, what you can see here, I have given some padding. Like in the column, I have decided that overall padding, and then I have added column component, and then there's inside the column there's a row component which has two widgets again. One is the search box, one is this icon for share or whatever purpose. Now for this search box, I have applied expanded. So grow as much space as you have, and then the remaining space will be taken by this share icon, which can be like 50 pixel by 50 pixel, or even if you don't want to specify the size, it's fine, because icon button, if you put in your design, it's automatically going to take the same almost like 40-50 pixel of size. So you don't even have to define the size. So that's what I mean. Like you don't define the size of any individual component, just put it, provide the spacing and padding from the sides, and let it decide its own size. Okay, so if you put this inside a expanded, so how it's going to behave, it will just expand like this, and based on the size you will see the content whatever available. Makes sense? And soon we are going to move to the next point, but let me just fix this. So I hope this point is very clear with you guys. Let me know in the comment section also if you guys are feeling a little bit bored, or I should take some comments in between, because this is a live stream. It should be interactive. It should not be like just I'm talking and you guys are listening. So write down your comments if we should take some break in between. We should discuss some of the concept. Like if you have any question to that, like how should I approach, how should I keep from top, how much padding should I keep, whether to use safe area, and all those questions related to the design you can ask. And in general about mobile application development, if you have any specific question or any specific doubt about widget in Flutter, you can ask that as well. And then we will move to the next point, which is align and fix sizes. So it, in one or the other way, it contradicts with the first one, because in the first one I said don't specify size, but in the second one I say fixed size, so you have to specify the size. But I will explain what I mean with that. But before that, if you have any comments, you're most welcome. And let me just switch to my camera view. Perfect. And also let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow, just a feedback so that I can accordingly adjust. 19 viewers are watching, 9 likes so far. Okay, so nobody have any questions? All going good? Hope so. And let me just show you, why not, this cool application that I have made. It was into development last time when I showed, like 6 months before, but it is now in the shape that I can use it for production. Like I'm just controlling all the, all the scenes, everything from this mobile application. So I can even show the comments on the screen using this mobile app. I hope it is in focus. And I can switch the scene. I can play some of the clips with that. Like just for demo, I can just clap with the help of this mobile app. So yeah, this I developed inside Flutter. Jeffrey Angular is asking, are you using Figma? So I am using Figma for one of my client. Like he has a project where he wants some help. So he has designed in Figma, but personally I design, or I get like I work with the Adobe XD, and that's the future of Figma, because if you're aware, Figma is occupied by Adobe now. So soon it's going to vanish and Adobe XD will take over. So Dolby Sound Official has asked a question which I was expecting. Let me just put it over here. Okay. So I think I'm showing that comment. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. How about Flutter Screen Util package? It makes the app responsive with font size. See, any of those kind of package, even it's Screen Util, I don't recommend to use it. I don't use in my projects. I don't use in any of the project, because see, again, it comes to the same point. If depending on the font size, I'm not talking about, the pixel density is inbuilt handled by Flutter. So Flutter knows what resolution of device you're running, and if you say 20 pixel, it knows that on a 3x device it has to take 60 pixel. It knows that on a 1x device it has to take 20 pixel. So that is something inbuilt in Flutter. But we are talking about Screen Util, where it decides and gives you the number based on the size of the screen. That's something I don't recommend, and that's what I'm advocating, that you should not use such packages. The reason that, as I said, as your devices get smaller and smaller, and if you're calculating your font size based on that screen size, either height or width, doesn't matter, your font will be 10 to 12 pixels. So the user will not be able to read. He will feel difficult using your application. So you don't want to do that, because user is aware that his phone is small, but still he needs to see the things properly. He know that I will be seeing the less content, because if you're having 11-inch MacBook or 11-inch computer or 13-inch, you're aware that you're gonna see less thing, but it should be readable. It should not be hard on your eyes. And if you have a like 4K monitor, 30-inch, 27-inch, you know that you're gonna see a lot of other things. So you have to think about this user experience, that as the device sizes grow, the content they can see that grows and shrinks, but not the font size, not the control sizes increases and decreases with the screen. Target X has asked this question. I should be putting it as a featured comment. Do you have any premium course? Not at this point. Last month I decided that I will create a API course where I will teach for the beginners. That's going to be totally beginner level course, where I will teach how to consume API, what is different types of API, get, post, delete, how to write headers, how to write body, what are the different types of headers, how to define content type, what is URL encoded content type, how to parse the JSON, and all those things related to communication with the remote server. So that is something I'm working on it. I'm writing, I'm preparing the course material. I'm preparing the layout of the course, how I should divide them. And soon it's going to be available. I'm going to put that announcement in the community post. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe the channel so that you get updated. Okay. And yep, that's the plan about the content of premium course. What the roadmap for mastering Flutter? So Gerald Hagen, if I pronounce your name wrongly, sorry about that. Your question is very valid, and a lot of people want to know about this. It's not actually valid or invalid. It's like a very common question, I should say. That what is the roadmap to learn Flutter? See, for someone like me who's a self-learner, I start with a real-world example, and I learn, bit by bit. I learn how to write click event. I learn how to capture input from the text field. I learn how to pass that data to the next field. So, for me, if you ask, you should be learning bit by bit. You don't go for like full-blown course or full-blown application. You just start yourself. You ask Google how to write click event of a button in Flutter. It will tell you there's a on click, there's on press, there's a material button, and then slowly you learn and you put those things together, that okay, this is how I should be writing on click event, this is how I should be writing methods. So that's the way I learn any platform. And I have self-taught Xamarin, I have self-taught Android, I have self-taught Flutter to myself. So that works for me, but I'm not sure it works globally or not, but that is something I follow. It's empty now. Okay, so 30 minutes passed. We have discussed one topic, that keep your controls autoflow, don't define size for them. Just say expanded, just say flexible, just say whatever, like just put the control, define the paddings, spacing, and let it flow where it wants to go, let it go. That's how your design will be responsive. It will keep expanding, shrinking based on the screen size. Yes, Julia Park has suggested rightly that choose a project, decide very simple project, and then start solving a simple problem of that. Maybe you can, in one of the project you can just learn state management, one of the project you can just learn things like passing the data, routing, navigation, and all those things. So you can learn that way. But if you want like a layout of things, I should learn this first, then this, maybe I can help you with that. You can comment, you can ping me in person on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you like, on Discord as well, and then I will tell you the order which you should follow, and maybe I can just prepare a bullet points something and share as a post in the community. All right, so enough of chit chat. Let's talk about the second point, and where we're gonna contradict ourselves, and instead of saying that don't define size, we're gonna define some sizes. And how we're gonna define sizes, let me tell you about that. So now in the first screen, what you have seen is, as your screen size increases, let me just get rid of this now. Okay, think about that it's a iPad or it's like a mini computer or something. You get this design which is still looking fine, it's not ugly or something, but one thing you will notice, that this search box is way too large. So at any point of time when you are searching, you'll not be searching for the whole paragraph or whole a big line. So you will be searching 2-3 keywords. So this is where comes the fixed size. You as a designer, you as a developer of the application, you should identify this control should not exceed this width, otherwise it's gonna look ugly. It's not like, it's not breaking the design, it's not doing anything wrong with the design, but it's looking a little bit ugly, that if you have a 27-inch big wide display and you have like on full width you have a search box. So what you should do in such component, you should be writing a condition, you should be writing a fixed size, that it should not exceed this particular size. And the example goes something like this. You see, now it is looking even better. You have the share icon on the right, because now again it is like all the other controls are trying to still flow around automatically. We are not defining any constraint for them, just like put it spacing and padding, but we have provided fixed size for the search box. And I thought like maybe this is a bit small, but 500, 600 pixel, whatever you think that this is enough size. Now this is the place where comes your instinct, that or like best design patterns. You follow a lot of application and you see that this search box should be not more than 600 pixel. So based on that, here I have used 210 depending on the device size. So you can define size of this component, it should not grow than that. And also you have to define the alignment. So the point says align and fix sizes, and the alignment I have given is center. For this I have given alignment on the right. Now the bottom menu as well, if you see your Mac or Windows, there's in the bottom there's controls, in the bottom there's an application. So depending on the device, depending on your monitor or device size, it's not gonna increase, it's just gonna show you more applications. But if you want, like in mobile application, you have 4 menus, generally they have 4 or 5, not more than that. So you can place 1, 2, 3 and 4 icons, that's it. Now you don't have to like stretch this box all along the width of the device and put all the 4 icons at the difference. No, that's not responsive. And that, even if it's responsive, it's not looking good. Like it's a very ugly design thing if you have so much of a spacing between those icons. So generally the navigation icon, you can define the width that either it should be like, you can define a minimum condition. You can use from math.dart library. Let me just show you what you should be writing. Okay, something like minimum of 600 or get dot width. Okay, so this is what you need to write, or should I say maximum? Yeah, it should be maximum, not minimum. So at any point of time, width of this component will not exceed 600. So even if your width of the device goes like 1000, 1500, 2000, it will still, oh, I'm always confused with this min or max. It is min, right? It is min. So even your device width is going to exceed 1000 pixel, 2000. It's gonna keep growing. You are still taking 600 as the width of this particular component. So these are the places where you have to identify that this component should not exceed. Not for this icon, you don't need to put fixed size for this icon. This is a button, it's gonna flow. This is the content of your item. So you can have one line item, you can have one paragraph item, like depending on the need. Generally there are like 2-3 lines of description of the list item. So you should not be defining width of that. Let it flow, let the user see all the contents. Now if you think that this is way too much for the my design or my content, you can even restrict this as well. Like it should not grow more than 1200, something like that. If you see any of the application on the website, you will come to know what I'm talking about. And all the application you open, your device size grows, it shows more content, not bigger size, right? So this is the second point which you need to keep in mind while designing, that your components which doesn't require that much size, make sure you put a minimum value, something like this, minimum of 600. Here you can write minimum of 200, something like that, and let other control flows as the first point. Now I have put it that in where I have put it that in Canva. So we discussed about the first point. Now the second point, which you can take a screenshot of, as I said, that not every component requires a full width or full height. So you can define them in a particular size range which looks good on the design, and let other control flow. And of course, with given size, you have to also provide the alignment. It should not happen that you have given a size of 600 and it is aligning on the left hand side or right hand side. You need to think about that, where it fits properly. So for something like as I said, navigation menu, it should be in center as you see in the Mac or Windows. And search box, you can keep it in the left or keep it in the center, depending on like where the user is going to use. Okay, some comments are there. So that is all about align and fix sizes. I hope I made my point clear. If you have any doubt, you can ask right now about that. Let me just switch to my camera. We'll take some of the comments and then again we'll move to the third point. And let me just show you real quick what is that third point is. Conditional layout, right? So after we take some comments and we do some chit chat, we're going to talk about the conditional layout, which is the third point. And when you club all those 3 points together, you come up with a nice responsive design of mobile application. All right, so back to the camera. Let's see who has commented while we were discussing. Okay. Julia Park has asked so many questions. I have figured out how to use CodeX and do sign in with Google. That's great. And Firebase backend. It's okay for web, not the best. All right. So Jeffrey Angela is saying, Julia Park, what? So people are trying to help each other in the comment box. That's really nice. Dev Jishan is asking, I have a question regarding widget visibility versus offstage versus opacity, which is the best in hiding the child from the widget tree. Okay, so that seems to be a good question. And let me see, I can feature that. Here you go. I'm featuring a lot of comments from Dev Jishan because he's asking really nice ones. So he has asked a question that if he wants to hide some of the widget, what is the good option to hide it? Should we use visibility? Should we use like conditional, if I'm not wrong, off stage? And should we use opacity to bring it to 0% opacity so that user doesn't see it? Now, in most of the case, I would use visibility. The reason because visibility have the replacement widget replacement property. So if you don't want to show that widget, and if you have something else to be displayed, if that is in some criteria, in some condition, if that is something you don't want to display, you have option to bring the other replacement widget. The second reason I will go for visibility because it is a widget. You don't have to write a condition like if else inside your layout, and you don't have to break the widget hierarchy. It is more readable. In that term, I prefer visibility. Some places I have written if condition, that if condition matches, use this widget, otherwise use size box. That is also fine. But you know what it does? It brings little bit of disturbance in the structure, in the hierarchy of the layout. But that's fine. You can use that as well if needed, if and else condition for size box. But visibility is something, it's a widget and it has a nice representation as well. That's best way. Opacity is something you should never use to just hide the widget, because it's gonna take the same rendering engine. Everything is going to be like it will take the same utilization of the resources, but it will hidden. But if you just hide it from the widget tree, then it's not gonna be rendered at all. So you should consider either using visibility, which is like most recommended one, or write if else and provide a size box in an else condition if you don't want to show a particular widget. Hope that answers the question. And let's see if we have any other question. Then we can move to the third point, and probably after 10-15 minutes we can wind up this stream. Okay, Shamika Perez is asking a question. I use CodeX bottom sheet and there are text fill inside it. Okay, I use OBS to update the content inside the BS. Okay, the issue is it only refreshes OBS when keyboard disappears. Any workaround? See, if I get your problem correctly, inside bottom sheet you have a text field, so better you should be using a text editing controller inside your controller. So instead of using OBS, you can just use text editing controller and just link it with your text field, and whenever you start typing, whenever you do changes, your text editing controller will be aware, and on a click of a button or wherever you want, you can just read the data from text editing controller.text. Hope that helps. Dolby Sound Official is saying that hiding a child, I think ignore pointer widget. No, ignore pointer widget, what it does, it doesn't accept the gesture of the user. So in the Flutter hit test, you are just ignoring the user touch, but still it will be visible. So for hiding, you cannot use ignore pointer. It's empty. I should bring more water. I don't have habit of speaking like for hours or two, because after 30-45 minutes of continuous speaking, my pitch goes like down. It starts sounding like a chipmunk or something. So I generally keep this stream for 1 hour maximum. But I wish I could have done like 2-3 hours of live stream where I'm just chatting with you guys, sharing different projects I'm working on, sharing the design concept, having some chit chat, a lot of things. But yeah, 1 hour is still fine. It's a lot of time you guys are dedicating for channel CodeX. I really appreciate that. Praveen Palkonda is asking, is it good practice to set minimum height or width by using constrained widget? Yes, depends. Or I should say yes directly. Because see, constraint widget is going to help you, and Actually, you cracked a nutshell. But anyways, let me talk about that. So if you just use minimum of height width, like I showed you in the example, it is going to be considered only once at the build time. So if you're on a browser and the user is increasing the size of the browser, then that thing is not going to work because it has calculated the size only once. So you should be, you are totally fine using constraint widget and minimum height width, because that's how, as the user is expanding the device size, in this case web browser, it's going to dynamically update the content. Ashik is saying, I missed your question. Okay, let me just try to find out. Text fill on a dialog box or bottom sheet, which one will you suggest? Okay, text fill on a dialog box or in a bottom sheet, which one will you suggest? It's more of like a design choice rather than technical choice, because both are going to do and both are going to bring its own same complexity, because it's not directly in the scaffold, it is there inside a pop-up. Either it's a dialog pop-up or a bottom sheet pop-up, it's going to bring the same complexity. It's not going to have a set state thing where you can just reload it. So it's more like a design choice, what your designer is looking for and what he's trying to achieve, because nowadays bottom sheet are very popular. I hardly see applications using dialog for the input or things like that. They just want to keep everything in the bottom part of the mobile application. So this is just a design tip, that if you're designing something, now what people are trying to do, they are trying to bring all the controls, all the actionable items in the bottom of the screen, instead of moving your finger up in the middle or on the top. They just want to bring the things actionable in the bottom. So that's why bottom sheet is used a lot of time in today's current market. So go ahead, use it in a bottom sheet because it has the same complexity as using in a dialog. Jeffrey Angula, do you have Instagram or something? Maybe we can help each other. That's cool. You guys can connect on Discord as well, because while helping each other, you will help a lot of other peoples as well. But if you want to have a personal discussion, of course, let's take some of the other question. XD, PX and Flutter size values same. Pixel values are same everywhere. It's just that the pixel density changes. Now in XD, there's something called 1x, 2x, and 3x. If you're designing in 1x, then that is going to match with the pixel of your mobile application. So say for example, when you actually create any layout, let me just show you one example, because you have asked thing related to XD. So if I just bring one artboard over here, this is iPhone 14. Now if you look at the size, it's 393 by 852. So this is at the 1x resolution, whereas iPhone 14 Pro actual size is like 2400 or something, multiply by 3 of this. So if you're designing at that size, 2400 or something, so you need to scale 3 times down inside your Flutter application. But if you're designing in this resolution like 1x, so whatever size you define here, okay, so if you say 64 pixel here, then you can safely say the same 64 pixel on your mobile device in Flutter application, and it will look exactly the same. So design with 1x and use the same pixel size, it's fine. But if you're designing with 2x or 3x, so you should be careful. You need to scale down things. Okay, that's one quick example there. Now we should move to our third example, conditional layouts. Oh, I was not sharing my screen all of the whole time. Wait a second. Okay, I was talking about, let me just show it one more time, this one. So if you see the device size, it's 393 by 852, which is like 3 times lesser than actual iPhone 14 size, because you're designing in 1x and iPhone 14 has a 3x resolution. So whatever you put here in this standard size, it's going to match with your Flutter application. So if you put 22 pixel here, you can write 22 pixel in your Flutter application. But if you're designing 3x in 3x resolution, like you actually put the size of iPhone, then you have to scale everything down inside your Flutter application. So generally people, they design in 1x so that it matches with the platform. Sometime, the preview is very important. And because my iPad was shut, I was not able to see that. I was not sharing the screen while I was demonstrating. So that's why it's very important. Okay. Now it is up. Perfectly fine. So we have discussed about free flow design. We have discussed about when to apply, on what component to apply the fixed size, and how to align them properly. And the last thing we are going to talk for the responsive design is conditional layout, which is very important. Let me see, everything is fine. Perfect. Any comments pending? Jeffrey Angula has asked a question where I can reach out to get in touch with you. You can ping me on Discord, you can ping me on LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere you like. You can find all those channels in the description section below. There's so many. Sure. Okay, talking about the conditional layout. Now we have seen, and the whole point of this design thing is you should satisfy the user with his device he's using. If he's using small, show him less content but make it readable. If he's using bigger device, show him more content. Don't just restrict with the same scaled version. Show him more content so that he can feel, okay, I have purchased and I'm getting extra content or something delivered. But what if you are just keep on scaling this list? He still have to click on this item to go into the detail and see more of it. Now comes the conditional layout. So if you notice, the device size has enough of width to accommodate more details. What you should be doing is you should be bringing more content, or I can say more details to your layout. Now this should be in center. For some reason it broke. Okay. Now that looks fine. Now the best example of this is your WhatsApp chat. When you open on your desktop, you will notice, or WhatsApp web if you're using, you will notice that there are two sections. One is your chat list and one is your open chat, like whatever chat, whatever person you click, you will see the chat on the right hand side. Whereas in the mobile application, you will just see a chat list and you have to click and go to the detail. So now that is what user is expecting from you. If he has a bigger device, you should think to cater the user with the more details. And the same thing is implemented in even setting application of iPad. So if you are on an iPhone or something, you will see just setting items. And if you're on an iPad, you will see side by side. So you can just switch between those settings and you will see the more details automatically on the right hand side. So this is conditional layout. How you achieve that? You have to write a constraint, and then as your device size is increasing, you will write a condition that if the device size is more than, like you need to know how much minimum space you need. So let's say that this box requires 800 pixel and the details which you want to show at least should have like 800 more pixels, something like this one. I'm just trying to put a scenario. So something like this. So 800 minimum you need for this one, and 800 you need to show the detailed content. So once you find that the device width is more than 1600, then you can trigger another widget, which is row widget, and you will put this side by side. Now, of course, a lot of things will change because of that. You need to have the details in hand with you, like you should be have master detail relation you should have, and all those logic will change. But this is something you need to consider as a designer, as a developer of mobile application, that depending on the device size, you should bring more content to the screen instead of just scaling or scaling up or scaling down. That's the whole concept. So write a conditional layout, and what will be the condition? It's very simple. If device.width is less than 600, show this, show a single widget, right? If device.width is greater than 600 but less than 1200 or something, then show something like this, where you will put a row widget and all the other widgets. If this is more than that, show this. If this is more than that, show this. Like, of course, you don't have to write like 10, 20 conditions, but generally there are 3 conditions, 3 breakpoints we have defined. One is mobile factor, where you define like less than 600, which is a standard mobile size, behave like this. 1600 to 1200 is another breakpoint. In between, it's like a tab or something, tablet or a bigger device. So for this kind of layouts, do something like this or behave something like this. Instead of putting vertically, put it horizontally, because it is used in a landscape mode or something like that. If it goes beyond 1800 or beyond 2000, then you can consider as a one device. Like, then you don't have to worry about even bigger than that. You can just leave with the one condition that if it is bigger than 2000, just show this layout. The best example of that, I think I created a video for that as well, where I have created, or let me just show you real time. I have that website up and running, so I should be able to show you real quick. Before that, let me check any comment. Somehow my implementation of comment is not working, so I will not be able to feature any further comment. Maybe I have exhausted all the daily usage limit or whatever, but I can read your comments. I'll be not able to feature them, but let me see. Julia Park is on GitHub. I think you're communicating with Jeffrey Angler. Okay. Chris Thomas is saying, great video. Thanks for all the Flutter devs in Ireland. Thank you so much for joining today's live stream. But yeah, I'm learning as I go too. Do you develop first on mobile and then expand for bigger devices, or other way around? So Chris has asked a very good question. Let me just switch to my cam view. Okay. See, it depends actually, it depends on the requirement of your project. If you have something, and of course there's always a scalable option, which you should not forget. But if you're designing like our current project, which is related to a financial application, we know that this financial application is not going on web, because it's designed in a way, for security reasons and for all the other reasons. The web will be, anyways, it's going to be a different project. So somebody will be writing a web application separately. It's not going to be in Flutter. So we don't have to care about the web form factor or the desktop form factor. We only have to care about the mobile and iPad. So when we write project, when we write layout, we consider these two devices, like a smaller one and the bigger form factor, in terms of iPad or something. So if you have a clear requirement, then go for a specific those requirement. If you don't have, like, if you have enough timeline with you and you want to make your application future proof, so you can go ahead at the same time. When you write something, you can keep controls and everything in a way that it is scalable. You can write on a different platform with the conditions, as I said, because what happens when you write this conditional layout, you have to break down your components. You cannot put the whole component inside a build method. You have to create widgets for that, so that like you can just plug and play different widgets. Take one widget from here, one widget from here, and just put it a condition, like put it in a row, put it in a column, one below the other. So you need to structure your layout, the build method, in a way that it should be flexible with the different components, and don't just keep putting widget there, right? That's the point. Now, I think I have prepared a slide as well for this one, so let me just share real quick, and then I will show you one real example as well, what I mean with all of these points, where I've used conditional layout and I've used alignments and all sort of things. So we'll see that in a moment. How should I present? Okay, standard presentation, screen sharing. Okay, so we talked about align and fix size. Give it a fixed size and align it to the center, to the left, wherever it fits properly. The third one is conditional layout. So break the whole page in smaller components, right? It should be small component or whatever. So the idea is you're not writing everything inside a build. All the widgets, you have to take it out separately. Either you write in a method, or better you create a stateless widget or a stateful widget for that. That's a best approach. And depending on your condition, either you put them in a row, or you put them in a column, or you put them on a stack, or whatever. So those widgets are kept separately, and depending on the conditions, you are just bringing those widgets. And like if it's a mobile form factor, you are putting in a column. If you're in a landscape, you're putting in a row, or like that. Those are the conditions. And of course, the breakpoints are mobile, tab, and bigger sizes, right? So these are the three breakpoints. Actually, you have two breakpoints, which divides into three categories. And then the point says show, hide, orientate components as per the size availability. And that's what I mean. Like, as you have less or more size, depending on that, either you change the orientation of the component, you change show or hide depending on the availability. So that's what goes inside conditional layout. Now let's do a recap of whatever we have learned so far. We don't have to scale a widget. Now, scaling a widget also also applies for font sizes. So anywhere you just have to say 20 pixel, 18 pixel, 24 pixel, whatever size you need, put it in a constant file. Of course, you don't have to hard code somewhere, but use a fixed value. Don't calculate font size based on the screen resolution, because as I said, on the smaller device, it's going to be so small that they will not be able to read. On a bigger device, it's going to be so big that they will be annoyed that they're not getting extra content, but they are getting a scaled version. So don't scale your widget. You can take a screenshot of this slide if you want, because this is like a whole summarized version of what we have learned so far, right? Let me just do a quick hair makeup. Okay, now you can take a screenshot. Just kidding. Okay, use padding and spacing to place component. Now, whenever you throw any component to the page, make sure you have given just a padding. Like, this component should have 20 pixel on the left and right side, or top or bottom. Just do that. Don't say 20 pixel away from this, 30 pixel away from that, this many pixel away from that. Don't do that. Just say padding and keep adding, keep spacing in between the controls to just have separation. So don't put any other relation with the other components, because it's going to be difficult and it will not flow automatically. Some component, of course, they don't need like a full width or height, so give them a fixed size. As in the case search box, the bottom navigation, they don't need a full screen width, they just need a small portion. And what looks nice is you have to decide 600, 700, whatever pixel you want. Decide that thing, my content fits in that size, just use that, and all the device size, it will look good. And decide the widgets based on the available size. So you want to show 5 widgets, you want to show 2 widgets, you want to show master detail together. Depending on the size of the device, you will write this conditional layout and everything will look perfectly fine. Your user will be happy with your application. That's the recap. Now, let's have a quick question. It's almost like 45 minutes of stream. Which widget you will use to listen to updates in the screen? So we just, couple of minutes back, we discussed about this. Someone asked this question. So say, for example, you are in a web browser, you are writing application for web, or even like if your device, mobile device, supports all the two different orientation, landscape and portrait. So what happens, you have laid down your components, but when the phone orientation changes, it changes its width and height. So what control you will use to get update of that updated size? So just let me know in the comment section. Let me see how many people understood the point, and is anybody able to answer that? I'm waiting for your comments. Let's see. Okay, let me see here. I think I have exhausted the YouTube data API, because My implementation is stuck on the comment where Jishan has asked a question, and after that I'm not getting anything. But of course I have the preview in front of me from YouTube where I can see the questions, see the comments. So I need a little bit more time to develop it properly. I need to buy the YouTube data package. Currently I'm using the free version, which is very limited. I think they give 5,000 or 10,000 fetch or calls per day or per month. I'm not sure. Maybe the media query. So Jeffrey Aguila has said media query. So media query is used to read the screen size. But here we are talking about widget. Which widget you will use inside your widget hierarchy, of course, to get the updates of size. So you should be notified about the updates. You are just not reading yourself, you are getting notified about the updates. Someone has asked this question like 2 minutes before, and I even replied to him, like describing what should happen when you scale or do things. But I knew that I have this question upfront going ahead, so I didn't explain it really well. I didn't use the name of the component which you should be using to achieve this feature. But yeah, there's a widget in Flutter inbuilt library. That widget will always give you the latest size, width, and height as you like. If in the runtime, if you're increasing the size of browser, it should give the one. So someone has answered. I think Hashik has answered it properly, rightly. Bran also has right properly. So it's a layout builder. That's great. Like so many people, orientation builder. Praveen, orientation only works on landscape and portrait, but layout builder is the right answer. Thank you so much for providing the correct answer. I hope a lot of people they got the answer. They got to know that if you use layout builder, it always gives you the constraints, right? So just go ahead and wrap any of your widget, text widget or column or container, anything inside a layout builder. And then you will see that there's a two parameters it gives you. One is the context and another one is constraint. And that inside that constraint, there's a size property, which will give you all the width and height updates. All right. So that is the question of the day. Let's see. This is my contact. This is my email address and the website. If you want to contact me for any project help, or if you want to book any consultancy like for hour or something, I do provide it. You can even scan, this QR code over here where I provide consultancy for an hour on Zoom. If you're stuck in something, if you want to understand some tools, if you want to, just hang around and discuss about some of the things, or you want to have a better understanding of the Flutter tool, so you can go ahead, click on this or like scan this QR code, and there you will find an option to book an scheduled meeting. Okay. And of course this email and website you can visit for more details. Thank you so much for watching today's live stream. And of course, before you leave, wait a second. We have shown the last slide of our presentation, but before you, oops, what is that? How do I escape? Here we go. Perfect. So, quick recap, as we have done already, but you use conditional layout to bring more components. You use align and fixed, and you let your design flow. Don't specify width and height of every single component, right? When you club this all together, you will have a responsive design. And this is like more than just designing. It's a thought process which people needs to develop, because now I'll tell you the root cause of why people they use screen util and why people they use all sort of those scaling mechanism based on the device size, because it is a common practice in, let me switch to my cam, because it's a common practice in desktop application. And from there it is started, like initial developers like who are developing on .NET or for Microsoft or for web development, they used to use this practice that they used to scale things up and down based on the screen size. But the same experienced developer, they have passed this information down till this point, which is not valid in this generation, because things have changed drastically. The mobile form factor, the the design guidelines, it's kept on evolving. So we cannot apply the same standards which was valid 10 to 15 years back in today's world, because things have changed and we need to update accordingly. We need to cater to the user what they have based on what the size of the device, not like what you want to show them. So maybe you want to show 5 of the items, but he doesn't have that much space, so you should consider bringing in the scroll layout for him. Don't make him like read, bring some glasses and read those all 5 points. I know that your business says 5 items should be displayed, but you need to be in a position to decide that this device size cannot hold those 5 widgets or cannot hold that information. I need to bring a scroll view. So this is your call, and that's why I advocate all these 3 points. So use conditional layout. If you see that the things are not going to fit in properly, then use scroll content, axis, horizontal, vertical, whatever you want. And that's how you're going to achieve a beautiful application. Now, before we end this stream, and after showing one demo to you, I'm going to take a couple of questions and then we'll end this stream. Let me show this website which I created inside Flutter. Tuber. Yep, this is the one, and I should be sharing my screen as well. Okay. So now what we have here, it's a good example. Like I just created this as a prototype and it is working fine with Firebase hosting and Flutter. It's developed inside a Flutter application. Flutter, you can see over here, made with Flutter, made in love with Flutter. Okay, now the point here is I have enough space to display these 4 cards because I'm running on a browser. But what if you open this same site? Let me just hide my desktop icons. Okay. Now the same site, if you open in your mobile application or a tablet, it will behave differently. Now just have a look. As I'm resizing, all the controls are moving forward because of course user will not play with their screen sizes like this. This is to demonstrate how it's gonna look on different device sizes. Sorry. So as I go to this form factor now, because there's a breakpoints, somewhat little bit glitch was there. You see how it goes, the image and the welcome Flutter community. Instead of being in horizontally direction, they came one below the other. You notice here, this widget and this widget are placed horizontally in a row. But if you go on a smaller device size, it comes vertically because we don't have enough space to display those 2 widgets. And of course, I don't want to come to the point where this graphics is not able to read, like 20 pixel of graphics shown here and 40 pixel of welcome to Flutter community. It doesn't make sense. So that is something called conditional layout. You have to decide that this much size I need for the graphics, like 200 pixel or 200 pixel is required for the graphics to display properly. Then you have to break your layout, move the widgets here and there to occupy or to show the content properly. Now, even the same thing happens with these 4 icons. Now, if I like force them to be in a horizontal, like 4 cards, it will be so small that user will not be able to read. So what should happen? It should automatically adjust itself and bring in the horizontal and vertical or a grid format so that user can read, user can take action. And of course, because they are now on a mobile device, they will keep scrolling. But now they're on a bigger device, they should not be scrolling. I should not be showing all the 4 cards because in a grid format, because they have a bigger device. I should be thinking about the user, right? This is one of the example of conditional layout. Now let me also show you the top 30 channels of YouTubers who create Flutter content. And this is, I think, outdated one. All though the value is updated frequently, but the channels are not being added time to time. So these channels, like 50 of the channels I added 1 or 2 years back. And I think I have consumed all of my, let me see. Yeah, I have consumed my whole YouTube data API, so I will not be able to fetch the channels and show it to you. But still, I can show you the concept which I have applied, the same concept I have applied over here. Now, You will notice that because I have a bigger device, of course it's a web, you can see these many widgets in one line. But as I decrease, you see the components are getting uh, adjusted in a vertical format. So that is what you should be doing, and that is what you should be doing always when you think of scaling or scaling down, right? So you will notice that the font size doesn't changes anyhow. Like even if I go, instead of horizontally, if I do vertically or whatever I do, the font size remains same, only that the content it's getting like in a vertical format or horizontal format. That's what you need to do. So I think this stream was helpful for you in one or the other way, and you are able to learn something, the design principle. I have a video on that topic. You can always check this live stream as well. I'll keep this stream up for a couple of months or so, or maybe I'll keep it for forever. But there's a video where I have explained everything in a short time, and I have done a coding as well. I think again it's a live stream or something, but there I have showed in the form of coding how you should be writing all those code. And yep, that's it for this stream. We'll take a couple of questions and then we will end it. I think we have exceeded 1 hour. I started at 7 o'clock. It's 8:17 now. That's great. Okay. What are your favorite Flutter package? Maiko TV has asked this question. My favorite Flutter package is CodeX, and then what I use most of the time, which package I include always? INTL, because it helps me to format the date and time. Then it depends on the project which I'm working with. So whatever is the requirement of the project, I will keep adding those packages. It's nothing hard and fast. But yeah, these are some of the package which I have in every of my project, like Firebase Core, Firebase Messaging, Firebase Database, and then GetX and Get Storage, all those things. There are some cool packages which I have recently used, like QR generator, which is, it's so helpful. You just you just give it a string, tell it the version of QR you want to read and generate, and it will give you the QR code instantly. So that's really cool thing because I needed that in one of my project and it saved a lot of time for me. Okay, Akash Jaiswal is asking, I recently started working in a startup company and the Flutter project they already built is not properly documented. So I want to know what can be best practice for documentation in Flutter projects. See, in any of the project, documentation is very helpful and it is must. So you should be having the documentation within the code as well. That's one way of documenting thing, like you have comments or you have description of the methods or something like that, so that the next person who's going to code, he finds the life easy and he can manage things easily. Let me just switch to my cam view. Okay. So yeah, documentation, I was talking about the code documentation where you can write inline comments or something like that, which helps. And there's something called official documentation where you will be documenting the functionality and business of the application. So there you cannot write things about the algorithm or the code, what classes you have created. Of course, nobody does that apart from some fan companies maybe. So you don't write documentation of your classes and which classes have you used where and all those things, but you write business documentation that if this happens, open this functionality, if this happens, do this and all those things. So which makes life easier for other developer. Okay, Vijay is saying, I think you have planned to develop an app through live. Yeah, why not? But as I said earlier, that my voice and stamina doesn't last for live streaming more than 1 or 1.5 hours. You can notice at this point, it's been like 1 hour, 20 minutes and my voice is just on a very low pitch now. I can feel that. Please do a video on handling FCM property. That would be helpful. Hashik is asking FCM properly. Oh, sorry, not property, FCM properly. So yeah, that is something I wanted to do in FCM, what I've done, shown a notification. On a click of that, it opens a particular page of your application. And what one thing was difficult for me is showing the batch count on the application. So it works differently on Android and iOS. On Android, it automatically picks the batch count, but on iOS, you need to pass that data along with your message in the data payload. So that is something is a bit difficult in FCM, or like more general in talking about push notification, that the batch count when you see unread notification, that works differently on Android and iOS. That is something I need to learn, or I need to practice. Other than that, yeah, things are easy with FCM. Hello, my who sorry about that. Jeffrey Aguilar is asking, how do you improve the load times for Flutter Web? Do you recommend working with web project? Why not? You can experiment with web project, but I haven't deployed any like real-time web application. I have done only for my study purpose, or it's just hosted on a Firebase or something. So because Flutter projects are running in a context, they load the whole library of Flutter engine before loading the project, and that is something, you know, it pisses off the user. So I'm not sure, I cannot comment because I haven't worked that much on Flutter website, but there must be a way to load fast, or to load instantly the required documents and then later load the whole package, but I cannot comment on that at this point. Hashik again says, GetX is lightweight, but I think block makes rendering smoother. So let me tell you that block has nothing to do with rendering, because rendering is handled by widget tree, your render tree, and visual tree, widget tree, sorry. Am I missing something? Yeah, there's a render tree and there's a widget tree. So this is what manages your rendering. Block is just for state update. So there's nothing wrong with provider or block or GetX, how your performance or smooth application is. It's just like more RAM utilization and more quick updates and all those things. Sahil is asking which chart widget to use, mainly for bar. So in one of my project, let me just open fire up quickly. Okay, I'll just answer your question in a bit. You can use Syncfusion Flutter chart. That is having animation and all those things. But I'm not sure it's paid or something, or it's free up till some point. I guess so. So you can just try that and let me know also in the comment after this live whether it worked for you, whether it is paid or something. Syncfusion Flutter chart. That's what you need to try. Which chart widget? So I have answered. So that's it for this live stream. I hope it was helpful in one or the other way. Maybe I will create a short version of this live stream and put it as a YouTube shorts, where I'll have just talk about these three terms which I said: fixed widget, floating widget, and conditional layout. So a lot of people can benefit out of that. And that's it for today's live stream. I'll see you guys in another video, maybe with server pod video, or maybe with another cool Flutter tips and tricks, and maybe a layout video, which I have not done in a quite long time. Yep, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.